Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today I'm going to be taking a shears to my Teaxas Ebony. This growth all happened this winter, and I'm going to be taking it down and trying to shape this tree into something. You may remember that I had a ground layer going on this, which I'm going to expose probably midsummer, so stay tuned for that. So since this isn't going to take very long, I have one in the wings that's going to take a while. It's a severe pruning to my Jacaranda forest. For those of you who have seen that forest and have seen me cut it back before, it always reliably grows back, and within 2 weeks you see significant growth. So I'm anxious for that as well. That'll be today. I'll try and do this so you can see it. This branch right here was pruned right there, late summer, and this all started growing when it came into the house. Now this tree does some interesting things. It branches. You can see a branch here. This is not a branch, but this one is. So if I pruned it to that branch, it would continue growing from there. That's great, but I don't like what it'll do. So I'm going to prune it to here and hope that I get something here and here, so I get some choices. I probably could go one back further. And this will grow from cuttings, I understand. I've never tried it. I gave some away at a club meeting, and I don't know the result of that. I am going to cut this one shorter. That's going straight down there. So I'm leaving some for dieback, and I see that there has been some dieback. If you look right in here, at the last pruning, it died back all the way to the internode. So that wasn't the last pruning. There was a pruning after that, right here. Look at that. And take that stub off, and I'm going to count 1, 2. For this year's growth, I'm going to go 2 internodes up, nice short internodes, and cut it there, leaving some for dieback. Okay, the next place that it wanted to grow, and there's all kinds of things happening here. I want to show you something right there. Within the last couple of days, I've started to get some growth right at the end of there. Nothing happened all winter long. And now it's coming. Forgive me, I was too far zoomed in to see what I did last, but if I can find it. All right, right here. This branch is a new branch, very young, and coming from here. And what I wanted to do, and which I did, is cut it off 2 internodes after the last cut, or the origin off the trunk. And I want to keep this because it could be a good replacement for this branch someday, which is getting a little thick. And I'm just going to let that one grow from this point on. It should put on some nice growth this summer, and I hope it does it in a bifurcated way. Now, the foliage just rains out from the top of these branch cuts sometimes, and that seems to be the way it stays. And then all of a sudden, for no reason at all, it'll grow from there. This, I'm just going to cut that off to give this some sunlight. I have something overlapping here. Now all of this gets sunlight. Maybe I'll take this off. That thins that out, so more sunlight gets down. This leaf is blocking the sun there, as is this leaf, as is that leaf. Take that off, thins that out a bit, and remove this leaf from there. So that opens that up. All right, I think this is all pruned up. This is a little weird, isn't it? I'm going to shorten that. Well, that makes me feel better. Doesn't actually do much, but it made me feel better. Maybe I don't want to get to the Jacaranda forest, and that's why I'm doing this. That's going to be brutal, because it looks so beautiful right now. All right, I'm going to cut that dead stub off. And let me look around for things like that. There's another pruning stub. There's one back here. There's one up here. There should be a lot. One there. I'm not seeing that many. Just the ones I just created. I could take this down, but there's some good stuff growing out of it. All right, I still don't have a full understanding of how this tree grows. I'm just kind of working with it. I hope you like it. Let me go get my Jacaranda forest and we'll begin our operation. All right, here's my Jacaranda forest. It did extremely well. I pruned it back before we brought it in the house, but I didn't do a severe pruning. And you can see it grew back very well. Here's where I chopped it down to last time. Here, here, here. Nothing but stumps all the way down. And it wasn't the first time. And it always grows back nicely. The problem with Jacarandas is you get a very vertical single, maybe a double shoot. Like here I got two and these look very healthy. I'm gonna try to maintain them. But here I've got one and one little anemic one. This over here I've got one that's kind of okay. Here kind of okay, but if you look here, there's no way I would rely on that. I'll leave it, but I won't rely on that. So there's all kinds of things that I have to do to get this to radiate further out each time it grows, to radiate a little bit further out than the main trunk. I'm always going to have lush canopy on this. It's this stuff that I'm having trouble controlling. These, if you don't know, are leaves, not branches. Where it exits the main stalk, it's a leaf. It's just a segmented leaf. Very, very beautiful leaf. This is the front of the forest, and initially I had a path with a miniature car, you know, an old-fashioned car going up here like a dirt road, but that has gone by the wayside. I will do something again someday. And the larger trees, the larger diameter trees, are what I have from a batch that I planted from seed. The really small diameter ones are cuttings off of these trees. I'm not going to save any cuttings this time. I did bring home seeds from California that I probably will plant at some point because I'm a little crazy like that. But I want to get in here and chop once again. All right, where do I begin? Well, let's begin right in the front. I'm going to try and see if I can see where there's a leaf scar or a bud. There's a bud here. Do I want to go up that high? I think I want to go here. The buds are front and back. That's okay. So I'm going to go a little further up and cut off this whole big thing. And now you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. This probably won't live, but I'm taking it down to there to try and get, you know, gradually more, I don't even know how to say this, to try and get this to gradually move away from this central trunk instead of just extending it. The branches don't come out at the end of branches, although the ones I've seen in the wild look that way in the wild. The ones I've seen in California on the street look that way. Here's another big one gone. And since this is the leader up here, even though it's a smaller diameter, I'm going to take it a little bit higher to there. See what I'm doing? Okay. These all here should be about the same height. This is the foreground. So I'm going to take this one to here. All right. So they look a little monotonous. I guarantee you, and these trees are a little thirsty. I don't know if you can see, they're a little droopy up top. This one, a little droopy up there. Once I give these a drink, it's going to want to send water to the top of this tree, and then it's going to want to make leaves. And it does it very reliably. All right, so this forest does have a slant down toward the back. So at this point, I want to be lower than that. Not significantly. I don't know where those leaf scars are. I'm going to say there's one there. And one there. I can't even find a situation where I've successfully done what I'm talking about. I think this is, in my head, I think this is the next phase in my learning of how to work with this forest. And I hope I'm right. I'm going to zoom in even further, because I don't want you looking up anymore. I want you looking into the forest. And it does have a focal or an entry point for your eye. I don't necessarily agree that a focal point is necessary, because I always want to be able to walk around and see something new. So if there are multiple focal points, what's wrong with that? All right, so what's going on here? Do I have 3 trunks? I do. Look at that. I'm going to keep them all. I'm going to keep them short. That one. I already cut that tall one. And this one in the back, I'm going to cut to here. See, there's still some foliage on there. Doesn't matter. This thing will generate foliage like crazy. All right, so this tree, I would love for there to be some front and back fronds happening. And then I've got to deal with this little guy. Right there. First time watchers to seeing jacarandas being pruned on my channel, you're in for a treat, because I will show you in 2 weeks what we've got going. I'm going to cut this one here. It'll be a little bit longer, but it's a heavier trunk. And this one's rolling over beautifully. I used shoe goo. This one kind of widened out, and I'm wondering if it is the shugu. I had some comments that it does dry harder, and that's my experience too. So I brought out the Tite Bond, and I'm going to be sealing any major cuts with Tite Bond today, and maybe going forward. I'm going to be evaluating the ones that I did last season as well, the cuts that I put shugu on last season. I was really enamored by it, and I still am. It's a great glue too. All right, this one I'm cutting to here. Oh, the horror. This one to here. I'm getting my angle back. Can I preserve? Do you think I can get growth there? I'm going to leave that one grow, and I'm going to cut this one to here. Look at all the foliage. You know what? This is bothering me. That's better. Okay. This little branch or a leaf is coming off. This one's going to be cut way back to here. This one to here. This guy right to here. It's turned into a moonscape. I guarantee you'll be amazed. Oh, please don't make me eat my words. One more. Right here. This is a good one to have cut off. This is what it does. I cut it there. It sends up one vertical stem, which is a continuation of the stem below. So if you trim it back to here or let it die back to there, that's what you got. Not very far from the main trunk, but maybe if I cut it here, I'll get another branch going that way, and maybe I can get it to be a more pleasing looking canopy. Right now, the way these grow, they look like saguaro cactus. I can zoom in a little closer. You can see the carnage. Well, you can't see the carnage. Allow me. That's the carnage. All right, from the front of the forest, and the front, as I said, is kind of off center. I want people looking at this point first. Going around to the left-hand side of this planting, to the back, which provides a beautiful backdrop, to the right-hand side of the planting, and back to the front. My Jacaranda forest. Let me see if I can get in the shot. How about now? Am I in the shot? Thank you for keeping me company in my backyard.